Perfect. So hi everybody, thank you for coming. This is the performance team meeting. We have a couple of agenda items that we're going to discuss today. Before that, if you can write your names into the minutes document, which I'm sharing right now again, that would be perfect. Before we start, are there any announcements that anybody want to make? If not, I can. The pull request for replacing the URL parser for Node.js is finally ready to be merged. Probably at the end of this day, it will be merged, which it is going to improve URL parsing by 87% and fetch calls by like doubling the true output for fetch. So yeah, anywhere in the code, it's like it improves startup boot time. It improves module resolution because everywhere in the code URL is used. So it's pretty exciting, and yeah, and I think it will be released with 19.6 on February 14 and February 28 with the latest 18 release.
Just a heads up here, I don't think that we will have the 14 release because today, actually I can't share. You know about it tomorrow. A security release is coming, so probably it will be released 1 week after. So yeah.
Okay, so around like 22 or something?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. That's good. Is there any way to include Ada in the tomorrow's release if it gets merged today?
Actually not. Security release should only contain secret patches.
Okay, perfect. No worries. So yeah, that's all from me. Are there any other announcements that people want to share?
Well, I think I have, let me check here. I did an investigation on, let me check. Okay, no, I have the repository to measure some operations on Node.js that eventually opens issues about regressions, and now I'm building a regression checker. Basically, we won't need to go directly to that repo and check, okay, is that a regression or not? This automation will basically open issues on every minor version. So even if that gets released, we will know and probably be able to revert it if needed. So I think I will end it in the end of this week.
Thank you for that. I know that date to ISO string is the regression is called only because of this node benchmark operations of your repository. So everybody appreciates the work that you do for that. Thank you so much. So let's continue. Let's start with the first issue. For 45662, start time performance regression when upgrading from 16 to 18.
Is that 19 as well?
Sorry?
Is that true for 19 as well?
19 changes are already merged. Joey was working on getting a backport to 18 and 16. Just today, yesterday, I received the notification for the backport of it, and I think it's still ongoing to backport it to 16 or 18.
So,
let me check.
So what's left to discuss?
Nothing, I guess, but we were keeping this until the issue was resolved, but I think we can close this issue and remove the agenda label if everybody's okay with it. Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. So I will be doing that after this meeting. So we can continue to the next agenda item. Abort signal is slow. Number 44, let me share with you the link. Robert opened this 2 weeks ago. It was, yeah, I think Robert can explain this better than I do.
Yeah, so the thing that made me aware of this is we tried, or at least me and Ben tried to get the RxJS to support abort signals in their APIs. And there was a lot of discussions around that. Eventually, there was some agreement that would be good, but once they checked the performance implications of it, it turned out to be very slow to the point that they decided not to add it. I think the performance issue comes from event target, you know, the web standard version of event target. I think the implementation is not optimal. Also think we might consider to make a custom fast part for abort signal. I don't know, because that's so heavily used.
Yeah, Santiago, I think.
Yeah, I've been looking into the event target thing. I've sent a PR that improves things a bit, but the main thing is, and I think it was mentioned by Anna in an issue like a year ago or something, that there's a property there in the standard that is called, let me see, is trusted, that needs to be, you need to declare it. It can be declared in the prototype, so you have to use the define property on every instance that's created, and you cannot do it in the prototype. So that slows a lot. If you move it to the prototype of event, the performance improves in 60% or something like that. But I don't know if we can do that, because that's not compliant. So something to think about. Another thing is, let me see. There were some other improvements that I saw that, yeah, there was a recent commit that in order to avoid prototype pollution, when you use define property, you were setting the dash proto to null. If you remove that it's like around 8 to 10% performance improvement. But I don't know if we will lose that prototype pollution protection. I don't know if that's. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah,
But this is when emitting events, right? Not when registering.
Yeah, it's when creating the event class. Yeah, every time you create an event, it's doing that, and that's like most of the performance hit is there. Yeah,
I think
in this.
I think in this case, like the unusual part when it comes to abort signal is to emit an event. The common part is to add the event listener itself, which I believe is also quite slow.
Okay, haven't looked into that, but yeah.
I think that was the main issue at the RxJS issue. I think I referenced that issue there. Sorry, I'm driving at the same time, so I can't see it in front of me.
Do you remember the pull request that I opened on like September or October? Just replacing object create null with a function that has a prototype of object create null. And there was a specific edge case that it was causing regression. Other than that, it was improving the performance by 70–80%.
Yeah. So let me. Okay, there's this link that is this one is from the what is from Anna that she investigated a bit on this, and I tested this recently. And if you look into that, if you move, you know, that property into the prototype is huge. And then the other PR, I have to look into that because it was like 2 months ago or something like that. I don't know. I have to check.
Well, there's one thing about the Anna comment is that moving away from private properties. The thing is, private property in the moment that she wrote that, it was very slow, but now it's fixed. So
that I saw. Well, it's nothing to do with the private properties.
yeah.
It was when you said the object-defined property.
Yeah.
Is talking about this property that is called is trusted. And if you move that instead of because of how it's defining the standard, it needs to be done in the actual object. It's done in the constructor, and you cannot do it in the prototype. But if you move that into the prototype, so you only do it once. I mean, it's the performance.
It will share the same shape. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, like more than 60% or something like that. And I know it's not 100% compliant, but I don't know if it's that important, to be honest.
Yeah, it really depends on how much it would affect end users, but this change in particular, I don't think that that will break the spec, you know.
Yeah, specs are pretty much implementation oriented, and if you're keeping the behavior consistent and the output consistent, but you're finding fast paths into doing it. This is literally what we did with Ada for a month or two. Then I think you're not breaking the compliance. So for this particular example, if the two different solutions go to the same output, then yeah. I think we're fine.
I made that change, and there's one test that fails because exactly that, and the spec is clear that it should not be in the prototype. So yeah.
Can we raise this to the Winter CG group? Does that make sense?
Okay, I can do that if you think it's a good idea.
I don't know. What does everybody else think? Is that the right place?
I think so, because I don't know, we can directly communicate with the spec people, but all of those things would be focusing on browsers, not on runtimes. So Winter CG might be a better solution. Yeah. Okay, so let's do that, and let's continue to the next item on the agenda. Is that okay with everybody? Are there, like, did I interrupt anybody from anything? So the next issue is node errors are very slow to create. This was created by Robert, mentioned by Matteo. So
yeah, I have added the label to talk about it, but in the moment I wrote out, I wrote that I had a lot of ideas, but now it's gone, you know. I don't remember. So if you want to remove the label until I remember the thing, because I swear I had a very good idea, but I didn't wrote down. So
no worries. So I'm going to remove the label, and when the time comes, and
Raphael, I can sponsor you with paper and pen if you want.
Okay. So next item, module resolution. So following the tweet by Marvin, Marvin found out that there are some bottlenecks in the implementation, and it was causing slow performance because of stat.sync.is file and a couple of other examples. Do you want to explain it in a better way, Marvin?
It was already pretty good. I mean, most code that I found that is used for multi-resolution calls stat, although it's just interested, is it a file? So the whole creation of the stat object and the date object associated with it are unnecessary. And there is an open PR which adds like fast path to it in the form of like exposing an isFile and isDirectory function directly from Node. But I haven't been able to benchmark them yet. And that's something I'm hoping to do this week.
According to the bot race comment, it's almost around 2 times faster right now. But there can be a lot more can be done with this pull request. So we don't have to expose its file or its directory to the user land, but we can use its file, a specific fastpath for C++. So there's no JavaScript involved, and we can use that function to speed up the module resolution. And since the input will be a string and the return will be a Boolean, V8 Fast API is also available for us. But yeah, so I'm mostly focusing on URL stuff right now, but if anybody wants to take this for a spin, V8 Fast API implementation approach, I will be happy to help. Other than that, yeah, any comments?
I don't have additional comments. No. Oh, are you raising your hand, Tony? Oh,
no.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, so let's continue to the next issue then. Fetch. Fetch performance is slow, but Rafael, I think you were going to say something, and I.
No, sorry. Just to I think that it can be eventually closed, this issue, because after my pull request, it will improve the performance by 50%, and after Ada, it will bump the performance a lot. And this is basically the increase we need to make the fetch stable, at least at performance wise. I know that there are a lot of things that we can improve for fetch, but since this issue was created because fetch was terribly slow, and now it's just slow, we can perhaps create another issue to discuss the make transferable. This is the remaining thing from the fetch, actually the remaining thing from the web strings that affect fetch, and well, considering that this affects more web strings than fetch, I think we can close it once Ada gets landed and keeps only the web string one, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, yeah, I'm also interested in some. My latest pull request on Ada proves that there's a significant overhead on fetch by just creating URLs. So even though this fixes that side effect, being spec compliant and directly implementing the way that the implementation specification is directing it might be a blocker issue too. So eventually, I think we also need to investigate why Ada is improving the benchmarks by this much, because it's like ridiculously too much.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, that I had to read all the fetch implemented spec, and I remember that we the benchmark we have on the Ondici for fetch is basically creating a request every time, and we are not virtualizing the agent, if I remember correctly, and that means that for every request a new URL is created. So this is basically the point. And I think at some point of the implementation, we transfer the object or at least move the URL object to another object, which means that behind the scene, it might be creating two URLs for a single call. And considering that Ada is improving that part, that's the reason it is improving a lot. And I took a look on the Node-fetch implementation. They are definitely not spec compliant. They are just, this is just a wrap inside http.get or http.request, doesn't matter. So that's the reason it didn't improve, because it was not using URL at all. So I think that makes sense, the results.
Yeah. Okay, so that's good to know. I think I'm happy about the result. If everybody's okay with it, we can close the issue, and if there's any additional performance implications, then we can create a new issue on fetch, probably with a much more descriptive title in the issue. So yeah, I'm closing the issue right now.
What do you think, Robert? Do you think that's the point, that fetch become performance is stable?
Yeah, I think so. I also did some minor optimizations in Ditchy that can help fetch. So I don't think there's much more to be done here. It's web streams now.
Yeah.
Once we have sorted out web streams and the next bottleneck is something else, then we can reopen.
Yeah.
Perfect. So let's continue to the next agenda item. What VG streams? I will share the link. Sorry,
guys, I actually have to drop. So, but I'll catch up on the meeting notes later. And please add me to the attendee list, since I couldn't do it myself. Okay. Cheers, guys.
Have a great day. Cheers. Bye.
I also need to jump. So see ya.
Okay. See ya.
Okay. See ya.
Bye.
So yeah, basically the web strings is pretty much what I comment in what I have commented in this. I sent the chat. I did the first part, the first sentence, and the last one is basically improving the make transferable, and that's a thing to do. I didn't have time, and I don't think I will have time for this month, honestly, because of the upcoming security release and all of the things I'm handling in private. But I think we are in a good position now.
Okay. I recommend keeping this issue just for next week. Maybe we might have some better information about what it is, and like if there's any possibility. Other than that, are there any comments on this? Okay. Let's continue to the last agenda item, which was initially created by Robert. Buffer read-write performance is slow, but Robert dropped, and yeah, does anybody have any specific knowledge about this, or? I recommend removing the performance agenda label for this, because it's been there for a long time, and there isn't any new improvements and like anything to talk about right now. What do you think?
Sounds good, yeah.
Okay. So that's it for today, I guess. Is there anybody, like any questions, anything that anybody want to share?
I think that finally the only stuff where we need help is the module version 1. No, issue 39, as you mentioned before.
Sorry, what did you say? I didn't understand.
Yeah, sorry. I said that the issue where we need the help is the 39.
Yes. So module resolution if you want to dive into V8 Fast API or directly having a C++ function just returning true or false for its file or its directory, I think that, and using that particular function only on module resolution implementations would improve the performance a lot, because right now we have a try and catch, and like it just calls stat file sync dot is file and so on and so forth.
I think I could, yeah, I could take a look at this, try something. If you have like extra pointers, IDs, and feel free to just add more in the issue, and I will take a look at it in a couple of days.
Okay.
It's good for others.
If you have any questions about the Fast API, I will be happy to answer them. I think this would be the first time that the Fast API documentation will make sense. So I'm quite excited that somebody is going to use that document.
Yeah, I also see another issue of Robert this weekend, mentioning that we could use like Fast API, Gate API elsewhere. So anyway, I think that I will take a look at it and use it.
Yes, and there is another issue that's not on the agenda right now, which was text encoder. Probably this week I will take a look at it and update the issue, and if it's worth going through the agenda, then we can talk over it. But practically, the issue says that text encoding 2 is slower than buffer write. Yeah, I will also share the link for that. But what I'm skeptical is text encoder encoding into is not slow, but using a array buffer dot subarray degrades the performance because it's inside the benchmark. But yeah, I need to validate that before doing it. So yeah, I think that's it for today. Thank you again for coming. Yeah.
Just wanted to add like one thing regarding the module resolution is file. It's great if you can try it right now with internal resolution only. I'm still wondering if it would make sense to expose this, given like TypeScript and everything implement their own form of module resolution and use on that. That's maybe something to evaluate later, but there might be a use case outside of Node Core too.
Yeah, if there is a use case for that, so that would make sense to include it in the core. From what I'm experienced, people are quite skeptical about adding new APIs because it means that you need to maintain a much more broader API surface, which is open to, again, vulnerabilities, bugs, and those kinds of things. So if there's a use case and if you think that makes sense, let's go for it.
Yeah, I'll try to find examples and scour some popular projects and see if I find something.
Okay, perfect. So thanks again for joining and have a good day.
You too, everyone. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.